All right, welcome guys. We're going to be talking about Dotloop and how to use it. We'll get right into it. On the top right corner, you'll see add loop once you guys sign in. That will allow you to add a loop. And the loop name will be ultimately always the property address. However, if you're working with a buyer, you don't know the property address yet. So you will title it the buyer's name, and then you can change the name of the loop once you get a property under agreement just by going into loop and double clicking the title, and you'll be able to change the name of the loop to the property address once you put something under agreement. If your client is a seller, then you know the address. That's the address. That's a transaction. If you're working a buyer and seller from the same transaction and working both sides, you want to have a separate loop for each party. So a separate loop for the buyer and separate loop for the seller, and just title the loop the address, and then in parentheses, put buyer, in parentheses, put seller on the appropriate loop. So that is that. A loop, just so you know, is basically an electronic file. So this is like your electronic filing cabinet. That's what Dotloop kind of represents. So for every client appointment you go out on, any actual client, you will have a loop for that person. And then within that loop, you will have all the documents that are relative to that actual transaction. So we're going to go ahead and just title this, I don't know, let's title this Donald Duck. I don't really care. Donald Duck. All right, that's who's this is going to be. So we're going to continue and we're going to hit done. It's creating the loop and we're going inside the loop. Now we're inside the loop. It's created. The first thing to do is to add the person to the loop. So we want to be able to go to add person on the bottom. This is going to allow them to have the ability to electronically sign, whether it's in person when you're meeting with them. You can present the documents to them in person and have them electronically signed right in front of you on your computer. Or if you're doing things remotely, you can send to their email and they can sign via email. So you want to add them in. You're going to add them in, and you are going to add their email. So dduck57 at Yahoo. Why not? And then I'm going to assign them this role. It's either going to be a buyer or a seller, right? A buyer or seller. There is a other category over here. So maybe you have someone that's involved in the transaction that's not signing, but they want to see the documents. You can also add them into the loop and share the documents with them so they can view only. They wouldn't be allowed to sign. So this is adding them into the loop. That's all you really need to do. The email's in there. Now I can add documents in their signature. Adding them into the loop is not going to give them access fully to the entire loop. It's basically just going to give them the ability to be to share documents with them. So now that you added them in, we're going to go into the templates, and from here you can choose. There's a folder that's conveniently labeled MA Buyer, Massachusetts Buyer. If you're a New Hampshire agent, there would be one that is NH Buyer, New Hampshire Buyer. If it's a listing, you would go under MA Listing, full and simple. The difference between these two folders is full is all the documents you would ever need for a seller transaction. And the simple folder is simply the documents that you would need more times than not, just the handful of documents that you would need. So it's nice and easy to go in here, and select all and just copy them into your loop. Or you can extract them individually here in the full folder. In either of the folders, whether it's a seller folder, a listing folder, or a buyer folder, one of the first documents on the top will always be a checklist. And the checklist is nice because if you're not sure what documents to use in a buyer transaction, you can go into the checklist and you can see very quickly, these are the documents that you need at the time of signing a buyer agreement: the agency disclosure, the agreement, the wire fraud, the home inspection regulation disclosure. So those are documents that you'll be able to find right in that same place: add document, templates, and MA Buyer. And you can see those documents right here, and you can check the ones you need and copy them in once you see them on the checklist. Okay, so once they're copied into your folder, or into the loop, I should say, they'll all be available for you. All right. So you can then look in. I actually copied in the listing document. So either way, you get the understanding. We're copying in the buyer documents if it's a buyer folder, listing documents if it's a listing folder. You can then go into the documents and you would be able to fill in your information and the client's information here. So you can fill in your information. You can assign this to be your signature. I'm going to assign the field. Everyone who you added into the loop will be visible here. I'm adding that person because this is me. I'm typing my name in here and my license number, right? And whether you're a broker or salesperson there, and then you're doing the same for your client, okay? And if Donald Duck is the only person, then I would put him here. If there's another person, you can always add a signature as well. So I'm typing their name. In this case, if they're a buyer, select the appropriate buyer. Remember, I copied in the seller document, so seller is automatically checked. And then you would assign the field, and I'm assigning the field to the person. And then from there, I can save it and share it with them. Or I can just save it and then I can do host in-person signing by going into the more drop down, host in-person signing. And this is only if they're in front of you and you're explaining the documents, which is you really don't have to print paper out anymore. You can just go with your laptop or tablet as long as you have Wi-Fi or log onto your hotspot. You can do that. Host in-person signing and select the person you want to sign, Donald Duck, continue, and then it's going to ask to turn the computer towards them so they can actually adopt their own signature, and then it will be signed. And then once it's signed, it is timestamped. So keep that in mind. It will say the date and time that they signed it. And from there, you can share it with them. That way they have a copy on their end. So nice and easy to get that done. And if you are in a document, if you're using one of the templates that you're choosing from the templates, it will have a signature field already, and you could just hover over it and assign the field. If not, and it's a flat PDF document, you can always add a signature in the signature field by going to add signature and then hovering over the appropriate space and dropping the signature in there and then assigning it. So hopefully that gives you an understanding of how the inner workings is pretty easy, pretty user friendly. Not much else I can think of on Dotloop. You can share it, and you just want to make sure again that the appropriate signature timestamp is in place. So if there's a duration of Friday at 12, you're not sending it to your client, or your client's not signing it after 12, because then at that point it's not really a valid agreement. So hopefully that helps. Pretty easy to use Dotloop. Best way to learn to use Dotloop is to actually use it. So get yourself some clients and have fun using Dotloop.